My hands weren't shaking when I placed those papers on the table. They should have been. At least that's what he expected. He was sitting there with her on the sofa I had spent 6 months saving for, watching my face like he was waiting for tears. But the only thing I was fighting back in that moment was a smile. Because he had just made the biggest mistake of his life, and he had absolutely no idea. My name is Maya. I'm 28 years old and I'm an interior designer. Not the kind that just picks paint colors and calls it a day. The kind that walks into a neglected, forgotten space and sees exactly what it could become. That instinct is in my bones. And it's also, as it turns out, the very thing my husband tried to take advantage of for 3 years. His name was Connor. He was 35, worked in property development, and had inherited a house from his grandparents a few months before we met. The place had good bones, solid structure, decent layout, but it hadn't been touched since the early 90s. Brown carpet, yellowed walls, furniture that looked like it had been rescued from various curbs across the city. When we got married, I saw it the way I see every space, as a possibility. Over the next 3 years, I poured everything I had into that house. My savings, my professional knowledge, my weekends, my energy. I sourced mid-century furniture that worked with the home's original structure. I designed custom lighting that made the ceilings feel taller. I had window treatments made specifically to frame each room's best angles. I chose every single piece with intention, the way I would for any client. Except this time, it was personal. I documented everything, every receipt, every invoice, every payment confirmation. Partly out of professional habit, I track purchases for all my projects. And partly because early in our marriage, I noticed something about Connor that quietly unsettled me. He was careless, with money, with detail, with follow-through, and eventually, as it turned out, with me, the small things piled up slowly the way they always do. Promises that got forgotten, effort that went in one direction, comments that were small enough to dismiss individually, but left a pattern when you lined them up. I kept trying. I genuinely believed that marriage was about showing up even when it was hard. What I couldn't keep trying through was what I found on his phone 6 months ago. Her name was Sienna. She was 24, worked as a contractor in his office, and had a social media feed full of beautiful interiors she clearly wished she could afford. Their messages were detailed enough that I didn't need to fill in any gaps. But what stopped me cold wasn't the betrayal. It was one particular message she had sent to a friend. Connor has the most incredible home. His wife is always working and barely appreciates what he's done with it. What he had done with it. I saved screenshots of everything. Not out of rage. I was past rage by then. Out of clarity. I needed the full picture before I made my next move. When I reached out to Sienna and suggested we all meet to discuss things, she seemed almost enthusiastic. She arrived at the house wearing a dress that cost more than her weekly pay, eyes moving immediately across the rooms I had built. Connor sat beside her looking relieved, like a man who had already decided how this meeting would go. I slid the divorce papers across the table without drama. Sienna's face softened into something that was trying to look sympathetic. "I never wanted to hurt you," she started. "But sometimes two people just—" "Let's just get through this," I said. Connor nodded. Maya has always been practical. It's honestly one of her better qualities. He turned to Sienna. "We agreed before we got married. No division of property in case of divorce. She keeps her things. I keep the house." Sienna looked around the room and exhaled like she'd just won something. "I wouldn't change a single thing in here," she said softly, trailing her fingers along the velvet armchair I had imported. "It's exactly the home I've always wanted." Good, I said. The movers come tomorrow at 9. Neither of them thought to ask what exactly was being moved. That night I slept in the guest room, listening to them laugh down the hall. I didn't cry. I lay there going through my inventory list one final time, making sure nothing had been missed. I was very thorough. The moving company arrived at 9 sharp the next morning. 2 large trucks, 6 workers, a team I had personally used for high-end client relocations for years. My foreman, Marcus, greeted me at the door with a clipboard. "Morning, Maya. Big job today. We've got your full inventory list. We'll get started." Connor and Sienna came out of the bedroom in robes, squinting at the noise. "Why are there 2 trucks?" Sienna asked, watching a worker carefully lift the framed artwork from the entryway wall. "How many clothes do you own?" I handed Marcus my tablet and let the team get to work. It took about 20 minutes for Connor to understand what was happening. He came downstairs to find the sectional sofa being wrapped in moving blankets and walked straight toward the workers with his hands up. "Stop. That's my couch." I handed him a folder. Every piece of furniture, every light fixture, every appliance, every decorative item in this house was purchased by me, with my money, after we were married. The receipts are all there, organized by room. His face went through several different expressions before landing on something cold. "You can't do this. We've been living with these things for years." "Living with something doesn't make it yours," I said. And we both agreed, no division of property. "You're taking everything?" Sienna's voice cracked. "Not the house," I said. "The house is Connor's. Just everything inside it that I paid for." By midday, the living room was bare except for the built-in shelving. By 2 in the afternoon, the kitchen held nothing but the cabinets and countertops. By 4, even the curtain rods were gone. Connor cycled through, pleading and threatening in roughly equal measure, all day. "I'll take you to court," he said, while my team wrapped the speaker system. "You can't just strip a house like this." "On what grounds?" I asked. "We agreed in writing, no division of property. You keep what's yours. I keep what's mine. Everything in that folder has my name on the receipt." Then the small panel van pulled up. 2 men in workwear climbed out and introduced themselves to me at the door. Sienna, who had been sitting silently on the floor since the dining chairs were loaded, looked up. "Who are they?" "Wallpaper removal," I said. "The paper in the hallway and main bedroom was custom designed and printed specifically for this house. My company produced it. Cost just under $8,000. Sienna stared at the wall like it had personally betrayed her. "You can't take the walls." "I'm not taking the walls," I said. "Just what's on them, like Connor said. I'm taking my personal belongings." I walked out of that house for the last time as the afternoon light fell through windows that no longer had anything beautiful framing them. The exposed outlets where my sconces had hung looked like small, open wounds in the plaster. Every flaw in the original structure, the ones I had spent years artfully concealing, was suddenly completely visible. The house looked exactly like it had the day I arrived, older even. 2 weeks later, my phone rang. Connor's voice had lost that particular quality it used to carry, the easy confidence of a man who assumed things would work out for him. "Lauren," he started, caught himself. "Maya, please." He told me Sienna had left. She had lasted exactly 12 days in an empty house with secondhand furniture he'd scrambled to replace and bare walls she couldn't stop looking at. "I need your help," he said. "I was wrong about everything. About us, about her, about what you actually built here. I didn't understand how much of it was you." I sat for a moment in my new apartment, surrounded by the pieces I had kept. the ones I had rearranged into something that felt lighter and more honest than anything I designed in that house. "I'm sorry," I said, "but that's not something I can help with." I hung up. Then I blocked his number. The divorce had been finalized the week before. Clean, documented, done. Some spaces, once you've cleared them out completely, aren't meant to be filled back up again. Sometimes empty is exactly right. Sometimes starting over from bare walls isn't a loss at all. Sometimes it's just the beginning of something that's finally, fully yours. If this story hit different, leave a comment below. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you know what to do.